Hello and welcome to Sault Online. Today we're in the office of our Mayor, Christian Provenzano, and we're going to be discussing the issue of whether to replace Joe Fratesi when he retires or not. Hello, Christian.
How are you doing today?
Yeah.
Good.
Now, where do you stand on the issue and why?
Well, I think we need a chief administrative officer. I think that's pretty clear. So that begs the question, well, why did I support Councillor Krompotwich's request for a report from staff examining the issue? I'm, generally speaking, always going to request support councillors when they're asking for information. I mean, that's what councillors should be doing, right? I mean, we should all make sure we're making good decisions and we're making diligent decisions, and that requires us relying on staff and asking staff questions. So Councillor Krompotwich asked a good question. He wanted some information from staff. I thought it was a completely appropriate question to ask a councillor to ask staff. So when he asked the question, I decided I was going to support him. I've seen the report. The report confirms what I suspected and what I believed, which is it's a necessary position. So I'm glad to have that information from staff, and I think that the council agenda and all the reports that go with the agenda is available to the public, so anybody in the public could read that report, and they can see that it's very anomalous for a city not to have a CAO.
Okay, well, a lot of people in the city believe that we could live without a CAO and at the same time save over $200,000 a year. And judging from the last meeting that we had, the council had, you started off with saving $10,600.
Sure.
And a lot of people believe that we could save this. And each manager of each division at City Hall can handle their own department, work as they already are, and work as a committee or a board, and elect a chair of that board, and that chair could come to you and council with what they've decided, especially during budget time. That's what they do anyway. They go to, when they put out their budget, go to Joe, and Joe says, come on guys, you can do better than this, or okay, let's bring it, and that's what happens. Now, they'll be bringing it to the chairperson of the board, and then they'll bring it to council. Same thing.
Oh, I don't think that's the same thing. It's not the same thing, because what you're suggesting then is there's one of the commissioners would have a separate responsibility or second responsibility to, frankly, be the reporting person for all the separate commissioners. That's a very different thing than having an individual who's specifically responsible for making sure that mayor and council's policy is followed. Right? That's a separate job than having one person speaking to on behalf of the commissioners to mayor and council. Look, if it was a really unnecessary position and we can do without it, I think it would be a very uncommon position, because municipalities would say, look, we don't need this, we can do away with it. But this is a position that all municipalities our size have. There might be some confusion is not every municipality calls this position a chief administrative officer. They have different names for them. But make no mistake, no municipality in the province of Ontario of our size or larger, even smaller than us to larger, functions without one of these roles. There are a few that do, and you can look at the Commissioner of Human Resources report, and it walks through that. There's lots of really good stats and information in there. I'd welcome you to do that. But whether it's called the CAO or called the city manager or called a different name, every one of these municipalities, our size and greater, has someone who discharges the role that our current Chief Administrative Officer discharges.
Our Chief Administrative Officer, he's in charge of all these departments, right?
Well, the commissioners are in charge of their own departments, and the commissioners
But they answer to him.
They report to the
Okay.
Chief Administrative Officer.
Now, if we eliminate that, we eliminate the middleman, and they answer to council. Wouldn't that be an idea also? Let me go on the city's
Well, I think that's what the
website.
report. Yeah. Okay,
On
go
the
on.
city's website, the job of the chief administrative officer, he is charged with the responsibility of coordinating the work of all municipal departments and ensuring that those departments carry out the policies and directions given by city council.
Yeah.
Now, why do we need a middleman there when the manager of this department can answer to city council?
Well, I think maybe where the difference is, the disconnect between my position and your position is, you don't seem to think there's a lot of work to be done there. There's a lot of work to be done there. Like, there's a lot of work to be done in making sure that mayor and council's policies are followed through by city staff in general. And too much work to be done for each of the commissioners to be responsible for that. So the CEO is the administrative quarterback. What you have is you have a divorce between the political body, which is the mayor and council, and the administrative body, which is all the city staff. There's plenty of work to justify the role for the chief administrative officer. North Bay, Sudbury, Thunder Bay. I mean, we go through all of our brother and sister communities in Northern Ontario. They all have one. So I mean, look, we have a difference of opinion here. I think the work is there. I've been here for 2 months, and I think there's a tremendous amount of work to be done there. I don't think it's a frivolous position. Look, I've showed that I'm willing to. This last meeting, we cut $10,000 from my budget, right, from the mayor's budget, the mayor and council's budget. And what you do when you look where you can find savings is you ask the question, is this necessary? And the SEM fee, there's value in the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. I was never suggesting there isn't. But I look back, and historically, no one from this community was traveling to the conference. So we weren't using it. I don't, as the mayor, intend on traveling to that conference because I'm going to focus on Northern Ontario and Ontario. My priorities are lobbying for the region and trying to do what I can to make sure provincial policies in our interest and best for the city of Sault Ste. Marie. There's a lot less room to argue for federal policy. The federal government doesn't touch our day-to-day lives to the same degree that the provincial government does. But the SEM has value. I'm not saying it doesn't have value. What I was saying was we don't use this. We don't go to this. Why are we spending it? So it's always a value proposition, and you always, is this necessary? Is this spending necessary? If you ask the same question, I think, about the CAO's position, you come to the conclusion that yes, this spending is necessary. That's the conclusion I've come to.